Oh, what do we have here? Looks like another Mi-24 A model. Let's see. Come here. There you go. He's on fire. Oh, nice. Oh. Are you in trouble, the H1? Hang on, I'm coming. Give me a second. Where is he? Oh, yep, there he is. I figured. Come on, stay alive. Stay alive. Almost there. There. Oh, hey, don't you use those rockets. Oof, my gun's almost jammed. Oh my goodness! Another one? Go away! No, that missed. Come on. Oh! I was sure one of those rockets was gonna hit me. Anyway, back to business. These pillboxes are excellent targets. They give plenty of silver and RP compared to other targets. I like them. Are there any more left? Oh, here's an artillery piece. Ooh, don't crash on me. Alright, let's get this one and... Rocket has been launched? No! That's a Zulu! Go away! Oh! I got him! I got him! You shot my left wing off. Man. I got a Zulu with an ATGM. And I made it back home. Hahaha. Perfect. Howdy folks, Sauber here. Welcome back to the channel. Officer Mi-24D Hind reporting for duty. So today I am going to be revisiting helicopters with my Mi-24D Police Interceptor Edition. I definitely love the skin that I made, inspired from the police cars I have made in BeamNG.drive, which one of these days, if I get around to it, I definitely think I'll make a video on that. But today is going to be a little different. I mean, sure, I've played out helicopters before, but first and foremost, the Mi-24D got a nice little upgrade. In update 1.87, locked on, you got flares and infrared countermeasures, or IRCMs, to the Mi-24. Now, of course, you get the IRCM available from the beginning because, well, it's a premium helicopter, but if you disable and get flares only, sure, you lose the IRCM, but if you re-enable the IRCM, it tells you you don't have flares, but do you see a difference here, aside from the IRCM being put back on? Nope, you still got the flares, so you got two forms of defense against air-to-air missiles, which is really nice. But interestingly enough, I guess the IRCM is good alone without the flares. You wouldn't really need to use them. Because as you saw in the intro, you noticed that the Zulu did fire off a missile, but it ended up crashing into the ground. And I later, when I reviewed the replay, I was like, oh, it must have been the IRCM. Now, another interesting thing is, when you go to the helicopter EC, which is what we're about to do, you'd like to try to see... Oh, might have to play this next. Be right back. And to battle. So, quite literally, when I was trying to film the introduction of the Mi-24 in the hangar, I was looking through the list to show you that when you go into a helicopter EC match, you don't want to just click to battle, unless you just want to get a random map. You actually have a choice. So there's anywhere between 1 to 3 different rooms available. And in that case, when I was filming it, I noticed the Vietnam map was available, and I had not played on it yet at the time. So I was like, I'm going to play this. So I was like, be right back. But generally, I like to look for missions that had just started. And in one instance where I played Heli EC, happened to be on the same map, but a different battle, it was weird. I had forgotten to select what map I wanted to play. Well, when I say what map I wanted to play, if it even gives you options at all. Literally, there was 3 different EC battles going on at the same time, and they were all on, oh, good grief, I can't pronounce that name. Zhugenziho, that Chinese map. And I was like, really? You can't give us any variety? But anyhow, I had forgotten to select a map to go on, so to speak, and I ended up on Tunisia, and it was me, 4 other helicopters on my team, and only 1 enemy Zulu on the other team. So at one point, he gets shot down and doesn't respawn right away, so his team starts slowly losing tickets, and I was like, oh man, I just got here. But then, he ended up respawning, thankfully, and other helicopters slowly joined. But sadly, from then on, it would be a guaranteed loss for them because they were down to, I can't remember the exact number of points, but it was more or less like 60% of the points that we had. So, let's say, it's kind of hard to describe it. So, like, I think we start off with 20,000 points, but they got down to 9,000 points because he didn't respawn right away. I know, feels bad, man. But on the bright side, I was able to play nicely, get a ton of RP, 36,000 to be exact, and 180,000 Silver Lions, and interestingly enough, something I honestly didn't expect would ever happen, I was able to do the whole flyout with no deaths. And if you'll stay tuned to the end of the video, I have some screenshots to prove it. So, yeah. So, all in all, going to Helicopter EC, some people might not like it for various reasons. I know one notable complaint is that it's only available in arcade and not realistic. Now, I'm not sure why that is the case. Helicopter EC has been around for a couple patches now, but I'm only now starting to film it. I actually had one gameplay. I'm fast forwarding a little to skip the boring parts here. I had one gameplay set up and ready to go with Helicopter EC, but as I was preparing to, touch it up before narration, that's when, I don't know if it was 1.87, but it was one of the patches, or maybe micro patches, that made it to where you could no longer destroy helicopter bases, let alone attack, or let alone detect them. And I have to admit, that change was, in my opinion, was very most welcome, because it would be a little annoying because you would get spawn camped quite a bit if you spawned at the wrong bases, and sometimes they were hard to defend against a whole swarm of helicopters coordinated together and basically farming free XP. And plus, people just generally were complaining about it. I didn't mind it all that much until, it got to the point where, be it you'd be spawn camped or you would be spawn camping. That sort of thing. So they changed it to where you could no longer attack those helicopter pads, let alone detect them. You could fly over one, but it wouldn't even show up on your mini-map. So you have to be careful where you fly, because otherwise you might have someone spawn behind you and get you wrecked. So, yeah. So at that point I was like, well, as good as this gameplay is, I'll probably just have to save it for another day. So I decided to re-record it, and this is the replay you see here. So yeah. All in all, my overall impressions with Helicopter EC is, I think it is a ton of fun. Because, honestly, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. I was going to bring up airplane EC, but I still got to focus on Helicopter EC. I will admit, it would be kind of nice to have it in realistic mode, but I'm fine with arcade because I'm not sure how you would describe it. The helicopter doesn't really have war emergency power, or WEP, but you can get your collective to go to 110%. Yeah, 110%, so if you are an RB, you could probably get the Mi-24D to fly, I don't know, maybe like 200 miles an hour, but in arcade, boy, you can get it to go almost 240 miles an hour, almost as fast as a McLaren F1. And and like EC in general, you have plenty of ground targets and even air targets to go after. And if you get shot down, no problem. You can respawn. Just try not to die too often, because I don't know if it takes points away from your team, but it can get expensive depending on what helicopter you're flying in order to respawn. But thankfully, the Mi-24D, I guess because it's a premium helicopter, it only costs about 15 or 1600, not 1,000, to repair after a battle. Now in EC, it costs about, more or less, about 1,400 lions to spawn in. So even if you died a few times and you needed to respawn, you wouldn't need to spend all that many lions to get it working again. You wouldn't need a lot of lions to spawn back in. Now for the reward system, it's pretty decent in my opinion. If you enjoy flying these helicopters like I do, then you're gonna be alright with the reward. Because on average, I get about 25,000 research points and at least 100,000 silver. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember the exact reward count for this particular battle you see here, but I do have the statistics from the battle that didn't make the cut for this video, except for, well, I kind of made the cut with the introduction video of me getting the Hind, the Mi-4, that AH-1F, and the AH-1Z Zulu. So, in the end with that battle, as you'll soon see at the end of the video, I got 0 deaths, which honestly astonished me, especially considering towards the end of the game I had an enemy Mi-24P chasing me at the southern end of the map. He fired off all of his missiles and ATGMs, missed. Fired his rockets, missed. And I was able to just outpace him. I honestly didn't think I was able to make it to the end of the game with 0 deaths, but I destroyed 6 helicopters and 58 ground units. Now, my reward in silver, strangely enough, wasn't as high as I thought it would be. It was only 87,691 silver, and the vehicle research I got towards the Mi-24V was 32,496 research points. So all in all, that reward was pretty good. So I definitely had fun in that game. But all in all, Helicopter Enduring Confrontation is a ton of fun to play with. And if you like helicopters, and if you're tired of getting shot down by, not Shilkas, by Tunguskas, or other SPA or enemy aircraft, just getting shot down a lot in general in Tank RB, then Helicopter EC is just for you. Fair warning though, even though it's arcade, I guess sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You cannot rearm in the air. You have to return to base and land. Now, I have 2 theories about this, even though it's supposed to be arcade. My first theory is that it was removed because people were able to reload their rockets in the air and just endlessly spam their rockets into enemy helicopter bases. Where the battles, which on average last anywhere between 1 hour or even up to 3 hours, this one in particular I believe only lasted 1 hour and 15 minutes, it was possible to end a Heli EC match in 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. Essentially the length of an average tank battle. Craziness like that. My second theory is that I guess the reason, which also possibly explains why Helicopter EC is arcade instead of realistic, is maybe because some helicopters such as the Mi-4 are a nightmare to fly in RB, and thus, for the sake of balance, for the time being, they have it set to only arcade, but you still have to return to the airfield, or excuse me, the helipad to rearm. Alrighty. So the last thing I want to talk about is something I don't think has been discussed too much lately, but I think is a good time to bring up, especially since it's towards the end of the video. And I actually touched on it not too long ago, and I think it's very important to bring this up, especially now. and that is sound mods. Now, naturally, you might be wondering, Sauber, what is so important about sound mods that needs to be discussed? Well, remember not too long ago in my Leopard 2A5 video, I said I didn't want to use sound mods due to the risk of getting banned while using them? Well, I was actually able to find some concrete proof that use of sound mods, especially sound mods, is quite risky. And I'll link both of these topics in the description below, the latter of which simply explains the issues that can be caused by them. But the first one is posted by our community manager, Orson ES, and I know it's from 2016, but I inquired to the CMs about it, and they confirmed that this is indeed still valid. And I'll go ahead and read what the thread says. It's real short. Dear players, according to the user agreement, insert link here, modification of the game client files is prohibited and can lead to the blocking of a game account. We understand the interest of the players for modification of sounds audio which are not, keyword not, giving any in-game advantages and only influences the perception of the game. Players using such modifications are purposefully not punished by us. But remember that the installation of any mods is at the player's own risk. Modifications can harm your computer or cause the appearance of game client errors, and in some cases, lead to the blocking of a game account. So, the takeaway from this is that sure, while sound mods are not strictly speaking prohibited, they're not supported either. I guess you could say they're even kind of frowned upon, really. Or maybe that's a bit too strong, but one analogy I found, and this may not make sense to you, but to me, I thought it was kind of hilarious, and it actually did make sense. So, imagine that you're a teenager, and you want to take, I don't know, be it your car or your parents' car, to go to a friend's party. You ask your dad. Well, you ask both your parents. Your dad may say, sure, son, that'd be fine. You can go to the dinner party. But then your mom may not approve. So it's like, sure, your dad approves, but your mom may not. So if you do decide to take the car, will you get punished or not? So it's like, almost like a 50-50. The point is, it can be risky. So that was a pretty good analogy in my opinion of regards to sound mods, because like I said, while they're not strictly forbidden, they are still risky. That's basically the point. But all in all, the uses of sound mods can also cause some issues in game. It is such a prevalent, in fact, that the Ground Forces Armour 3D and damage models issues in the bug report section has this highlighted in red in their bug reporting guidelines. It says, if you are using a custom hanger, sound, or localization modification to the client, then please return your client to its normal configuration and test the issue before submitting a bug report. So the point of that guideline being in place is because suppose you're experiencing an issue in the game and you feel that, you know, it's just like any other bug. But then after further investigation you find out, oh wait a minute, it's this modification that I'm using. You find that out because in accordance with the guidelines, you disabled the modification, and then you find out that bug doesn't occur anymore. That, if the bug was occurring beforehand, you now know that's not War Thunder's fault. That's simply the fault of the modification simply not being fully compatible with the game. And in addition, I've discussed the subject of sound mods many times in the past with my fellow staff, and generally we came to this conclusion. You could say that essentially, in regards to any mods, in particular sound mods, user skins and tank user sites do not apply. I'm not so sure about user hangers. But for all sakes and purposes, we're focusing on sound mods. Essentially that they are all at the player's discretion and at their responsibility. And the problem is with sound mods is that one version of a mod may be okay, but there's no vetting process carried out by Gaijin on other people's work. The next version of one author's mod, may very well breach Gaijin end-user license agreement, and so forth. Custom mods are also known to cause issues with the game. As I had mentioned before, there's a part in the bug reporting guidelines to, remove the mods before submitting a bug report. And I also thought about, what about the possibility of supporting safe sound mods, so to speak? That is, a sound mod that does not modify the engine or gun sounds, which, in theory, could lead to an unfair advantage. Namely, crew voices, radio commands, and music. Something that can't really give you an unfair advantage because they can't tell you, oh, there's an enemy X distance amount away, judging by the sound. But we came to this conclusion also. Unfortunately, there is no way to know how or who coded the modification fully. Part of it may be done by one person, and other parts could be copy-paste of someone else's work. One would also have no idea about the skill knowledge level of the individual who did it. It could have been a software engineer with a good idea of what they're doing. On the other hand, it could be written by a script newbie who has little or no knowledge of understanding of it. Another possibility is that maybe it's a newbie's school toy project. In conclusion, one version of a mod might be okay, but then one could tweak it, and then it would cross the line that Orson's thread speaks of and gives an unfair advantage. And then they're in big trouble. Anyhow, and I also highly doubt any of them could have some sort of version control or documentation, etc. So in short, that's mainly the reason why sound mods have not, and sadly probably never will have official support due to the risks involved. Another possibility is that of a lack of support could be that it would not be easy, if not impossible, to verify the true owner of the sounds used in a mod, which could lead Gaijin to be liable to copyright infringement. However, bear in mind, I'm not so sure about this latter possibility, as I'm not familiar with that field of information, so to speak. But that's pretty much sound mods in a nutshell, what I wanted to bring up. Essentially, I cannot tell you, yes, you should use sound mods, or no, you shouldn't. I wouldn't even try. But all in all, I just have this to say. If you choose to use them, that's alright. Just understand the risks you are taking, the risks involved. And if you choose not to use them, it could well be that you're playing it safe. But anyway, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. I hope this latter information about sound mods was helpful to you. And also, I mentioned not too long ago, I plan on updating my Holo-Wolf Skin pack. At the time of the making of this video, that's put on hold. I hope to be able to upload a new version as soon as possible. I'll put some more information in the description below. But anyway, that is it for today's video. Have a great day, stay safe, and peace out.